Ethan Ryler had never seen a sky like this before. It was not blue, not gray, not even the black of space he had grown used to. Instead, it shimmered with a soft green glow that seemed to pulse with life. He stood at the edge of the landing platform, his boots barely making a sound on the smooth, silver metal. Around him, floating islands hovered in the air, connected by glimmering bridges that seemed almost alive, moving subtly like veins in a leaf. The air smelled faintly sweet, like wildflowers back on Earth, but with a sharp, alien tang that made him sneeze once. "Welcome, Ambassador Ethan Ryler," a voice said. He turned quickly. A tall figure floated toward him, wearing flowing robes that shifted colors with every movement. "I am High Counselor Terran. Princess Lyra awaits you." Ethan tried to bow politely, but found it awkward. Humans were not made for floating platforms. He shuffled forward, careful not to step too close to the edge, which vanished into a sparkling green fog below. "Thank you, Counselor," he said. His voice sounded small against the vast sky and the distant hum of alien machinery. The platform led to a palace that looked like it had grown out of the floating rock itself. It was tall and delicate, its spires twisting upward like crystal vines reaching for the sky. Windows glowed softly, and Ethan could see figures moving inside, their shapes elegant and unlike any human form. He felt a twinge of nervousness. He had trained for diplomacy, for negotiation, for alien contact, but nothing could prepare him for this. When the doors of the palace opened, he froze. Standing there was Princess Lyra. She was tall and elegant, her skin a soft blue that seemed to reflect the light around her. Her hair flowed like liquid silver, moving in ways that almost seemed alive. Her eyes, large and bright, regarded him with curiosity, and then she extended her hand. Ethan hesitated. Handshakes were normal on Earth, a sign of respect, a way to show trust. He stepped forward, smiling politely. "It's an honor to meet you, Princess," he said, reaching out. His fingers brushed against hers in a firm but friendly shake. The court fell silent. A soft gasp echoed through the marble halls. Ethan froze. Did I do something wrong?" he asked, confusion rising in his chest. Princess Lyra's expression did not change. Her hand remained in his, and she spoke with a voice that was calm, but firm. "By the ritual of our people, you are now bound to me. This handshake is the ancient symbol of union between our worlds." Ethan blinked. "Union? I was just greeting you." He tried to pull his hand back, but it felt strange, almost as if the air itself was holding him in place. He looked around and saw the court watching him intently, some nodding, some whispering among themselves. Counselor Terran approached quickly, bowing low. "It is as the princess says," he said. "The ritual is binding. You are now considered betrothed, Ambassador." Ethan's stomach dropped. He had crossed a line without even knowing it. "Betrothed? As in, married?" he asked, his voice shaky. Lyra tilted her head slightly, her silver hair catching the light. "Not married, yet," she said softly. "But the bond is recognized by Zytheran law. You are connected to me, to our people." Her eyes studied him carefully, as if searching for understanding. "Do you understand the seriousness of this union?" Ethan swallowed hard. I think I need a moment," he admitted. His mind raced. He was here as a diplomat, representing Earth, tasked with negotiating peace and cultural exchange. He had not prepared for marriage even symbolic to an alien princess. And yet, the energy in the air felt real. The bond was real. He could feel a strange warmth in his chest, where their hands met. And it made him realize how different Zythera was from Earth. Every tradition carried power, even the smallest gesture. Lyra's expression softened. "You will understand soon enough," she said. "For now, you must learn our ways. Come. The ceremony is brief, but it must be observed." She led him inside the palace, her steps graceful and light, Ethan followed, careful to keep pace. The halls shimmered with light, and he noticed symbols etched into the walls that seemed to move as he passed. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The ceremony room was circular, with a high ceiling that glowed with a soft golden light. In the center, a platform floated slightly above the floor, and upon it were symbols etched in crystal. Lyra stepped onto the platform and gestured for Ethan to do the same. His boots hovered above the ground, a strange sensation that made him grip the edge of the platform for balance. "Do not be afraid," Lyra said. "This ritual is simple. It is a promise of understanding and respect between our people. It will bind your intentions, not your freedom." Her words were reassuring. Yet the hum of energy around them made Ethan's heart beat faster. As the ritual began, Ethan realized it was more than a handshake. Streams of glowing energy connected their hands, spiraling around them. He felt a connection not only to Lyra, but to Scythera itself. The floating islands outside, the glowing forests, the wind that hummed through the palace, they all seemed part of this bond. He closed his eyes and focused, trying to honor the ritual while keeping his own feelings clear. When the ritual ended, the energy faded, leaving a tingling warmth in his palm. Ethan opened his eyes. Lyra smiled at him. "You have done well," she said. "The bond is recognized. It may seem strange, but in time, you will understand its importance." Ethan nodded slowly. I will try," he said. Inside, he felt both terrified and amazed. He had come to Scythera for diplomacy, but already he had become part of its story in a way he never expected. Outside, the court murmured with approval. Humans were respected for their courage, and the unexpected act of kindness and openness during the ritual had not gone unnoticed. Ethan realized that even in confusion, humanity had a way of bridging worlds. With honesty, respect, and a willingness to learn, he could survive here. He had no choice, and perhaps, he thought with a mix of dread and excitement, he could even thrive. The next morning, Ethan awoke in a room that felt more like a garden than a bedroom. The walls glowed softly with moving patterns that resembled vines, and the floor was warm beneath his feet. Light floated freely in the air, as if it had weight, and delicate insects shimmering like tiny jewels danced in the corners. He rubbed his eyes, still trying to adjust to a world so different from Earth. A soft chime echoed through the room, and a voice spoke from nowhere. "Ambassador Ryler, your breakfast awaits. Princess Lyra will see you shortly." The voice was calm and melodic, carrying no trace of aggression or urgency. Ethan sighed. He had expected formalities, but not a palace that seemed alive. Dressing quickly, he made his way to the dining hall, where a long table floated above the floor, supported by a faint golden glow. Food appeared on the table without anyone serving it. Fruits that shimmered with colors he had never seen, and liquids that floated in the air, ready to be sipped without a cup. He took a cautious bite and found it sweet, almost electrifying, filling him with energy. Lyra entered gracefully, her silver hair catching the morning light. She smiled at him. "Good morning, Ambassador. I trust your rest was comfortable?" Ethan bowed slightly. "Very comfortable, Princess. Your people's technology, it is unlike anything I have ever seen." She chuckled softly. "You have only seen the beginning. Scythera has many ways that might surprise you, and you must learn them all, if you hope to live peacefully among us." Her eyes sparkled with curiosity, as though she enjoyed testing his limits. Ethan swallowed nervously. "I hope I can. I must admit, I am still learning your customs." Lyra inclined her head. "As you should. Many humans are proud of their customs, yet the universe holds more than one way to live. Here, even a handshake is a promise. Everything has meaning." Ethan shivered slightly at the thought. He had unintentionally bound himself to a princess with a simple gesture, and now, he would have to learn to navigate every ritual carefully. After breakfast, Lyra led him through the palace. The corridors seemed to shift as they walked, lights brightening and dimming, walls stretching and bending like living architecture. Courtiers nodded politely as Ethan passed, some whispering in a language he could not understand. Occasionally, a human translator device on his wrist beeped, offering him a simple translation. They entered a hall where other members of the Scytheran court waited. Many were tall, lithe figures with skin tones ranging from deep green to pale lavender, each adorned with robes that shimmered in patterns unique to them. Ethan felt suddenly small among them. Aware of his human limitations, he could not float gracefully. He could not manipulate the energy fields like they could, but he reminded himself that humans had other strengths. Lyra gestured toward him. Ambassador Ryler? These are my advisors. They will help you understand our culture. And they will test your adaptability. One of the advisors, a tall figure with eyes like polished amber, stepped forward. Ambassador, you will participate in the Scytheran greeting ritual. It is simple, but it demonstrates respect and understanding of our traditions. Ethan nodded. I am ready. The ritual began. Ethan was instructed to float above a platform using subtle energy channels in the palace floor. He struggled at first, flailing slightly, while the Scytherans glided effortlessly beside him. Finally, he found balance, and the ritual proceeded. It involved intricate hand gestures, a rhythm of steps, and a careful modulation of one's voice. Ethan stumbled often, but each mistake drew polite nods rather than anger. He realized that while he was clumsy, his effort mattered. The Scytherans valued sincerity, not perfection. Princess Lyra watched him closely, her expression a mix of amusement and approval. Humans are not built for our ways, she said softly. Yet, your determination is admirable. Ethan smiled nervously. I suppose determination is our strongest skill. It was then that trouble appeared. A courtier, pale and tall, whispered urgently to Lyra. She nodded, her expression becoming serious. Ethan noticed the shift immediately. The calm energy of the palace seemed to tighten, the light dimming slightly. They are watching us, Lyra said quietly to Ethan. The Varkari scouts. They believe humans are weak, and they do not yet understand our alliance. Ethan frowned. Weak? We may not fly or bend energy, but humans, we adapt quickly. We think differently. Lyra's eyes gleamed. We shall see. Ambassador, perhaps you can teach them the value of human cunning. For the rest of the morning, Ethan continued learning Scytheran customs. He practiced floating, hand rituals, and communication methods. He struggled, often causing small disruptions that drew quiet giggles from some courtiers. But slowly, he improved. The more he learned, the more he realized how advanced Scytheran society was. Yet, he also began to see where humans had an advantage. Creativity, improvisation, and thinking outside the box qualities highly valued on Earth were unfamiliar to the Scytherans. At lunch, Ethan was joined by Lyra in a small garden that floated high above the city. The plants glowed softly, and the air shimmered with tiny motes of light. You are different from the humans I have read about, Lyra said, handing him a fruit that floated toward his hand. Not in body, not in energy, but in mind. You see possibilities where we see only rules. Ethan laughed lightly. We have to. On Earth, humans survive in deserts, jungles, oceans, and cities. We learn to adapt, or we perish. Lyra nodded slowly. Perhaps that is why your people have a place among the stars. You are fragile, yet clever. You make mistakes, yet you correct them. You are unpredictable. Ethan felt pride mixed with relief. For the first time, he sensed that humans were not just visitors to this world. They could matter here, too. The day ended with Ethan reflecting on the events. He had entered Scythera as a simple ambassador, but he was already becoming part of something larger. The misunderstanding of the handshake had thrown him into the heart of alien culture. Yet it had also shown him the potential of humanity. By being sincere, adaptable, and willing to learn, humans could earn respect even from the most advanced civilizations. As he rested that night, Ethan looked out at the floating islands and glowing forests. He felt a mix of fear, excitement, and determination. The path ahead was uncertain, customs were strange, dangers unseen, and responsibilities far greater than he had ever imagined. Yet one thought remained clear. Humans might be small in body, but their minds, courage, and hearts could shine even among the stars. And for Ethan, the real adventure was only just beginning. The sun, or what humans would call the sun of Sci-Fi, hung low over the floating islands, casting long shadows over the glowing forests below. Ethan Ryler walked alongside Princess Lyra as they made their way to the council hall, where urgent news had arrived. The palace, usually calm and luminous, felt tense today. Courtiers moved quickly, their eyes darting toward the sky as if expecting danger. "What is happening?" Ethan asked, his voice low. Lyra's expression was serious. "The Valkyrie are near. Scouts report they have moved into the northern skies. They believe our union with humans is a weakness." Ethan frowned. "Weakness? They haven't met me yet. Or humans, for that matter. They might be in for a surprise." Lyra allowed a faint smile. "Perhaps, but we cannot underestimate them. The Valkyrie are clever, and they strike quickly." Inside the council hall, alien leaders gathered, their faces a mixture of concern and suspicion. Holographic maps floated above a central platform, showing the positions of Valkyrie ships sleek, dark, and sharp-edged, contrasting with the soft glow of Zetheran architecture. The Valkyrie were known for their speed and tactical cunning. Their attack could devastate unprepared defenses. Ethan studied the maps. "What is your standard defense?" he asked, pointing at a series of energy barriers around the islands. Lyra's counselor responded. "The barriers can repel ordinary attacks, but the Valkyrie have adapted to our energy fields. They may find a way to breach them. We are unsure of their full strategy." Ethan tapped his chin, thinking. Humans often relied on unpredictability, using small tools and clever tricks to overcome larger forces. He had faced challenges on Earth, floods, storms, and war games that required quick thinking rather than raw power. Maybe here, that skill could matter. "I have an idea," Ethan said. "It will require some of your engineers and a few volunteers. But I think we can create a trap using the floating islands themselves. If the Valkyrie expect a straight attack, we can turn their own speed against them." Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Explain." Ethan took a deep breath. "We lure their ships into the gaps between islands. Then, using Zythera's magnetic fields, we can make the islands shift slightly. It won't hurt your people, but it will confuse the Valkyrie ships. If timed correctly, their attack will scatter before they reach the main city." A murmur ran through the council. Many were skeptical. Humans were clever. Yes, but untested in real combat. Still, Lyra's gaze met Ethan's, and she saw the determination in his eyes. "You have 10 cycles," she said firmly. "Prepare your plan. If it succeeds, we may save our home. If it fails, we will fight together. No matter the cost." Ethan nodded, heart racing. He moved quickly, coordinating with Zytheran engineers. They adjusted the energy fields, tested the floating platforms, and calibrated the magnetic pulses. The humans and aliens worked side by side, a mix of intuition, calculation, and trial and error. Ethan suggested small changes, ways the islands could wobble at precise intervals, how light signals could guide the Zytheran pilots, and even subtle patterns to trick the Valkyrie into thinking the city was vulnerable. Hours passed. Sweat dripped from Ethan's brow, and his muscles ached from floating maneuvers he had to practice. But slowly, the plan took shape. By the time the sky darkened with the first signs of the Valkyrie fleet, Ethan felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. "They are coming," Lyra said, floating beside him. "All of Zythera's defenses are ready. And you, human, have helped them more than anyone might have expected. Ethan swallowed. Let's hope it's enough. The first Varkari ships appeared on the horizon, sleek and black, moving faster than anything Ethan had seen. They sliced through the air like shadows, approaching the floating islands with precision and menace. Alarm bells echoed through the palace, and energy barriers shimmered in preparation. Ethan signaled to the Scytheran pilots. Now, begin the lure. The ships accelerated toward the islands, drawn by the appearance of a weak point in the defenses. As predicted, they entered the narrow gaps between islands. At the precise moment, the islands shifted, subtly but effectively, forcing the Varkari pilots to adjust or risk collision. Small pulses of energy disoriented their sensors, making the battlefield unpredictable. Chaos erupted among the invaders. Some ships collided with debris. Others turned back in confusion. Ethan's pulse raced as he watched the plan unfold. It was working, but the Varkari adapted quickly. More ships swooped in from above, attempting to flank the city. Adjust the fields, Ethan shouted. Shift the central island 3 degrees clockwise. Distract them with the northern lights. Lyra's eyes widened in surprise. You are commanding our defenses, human? Incredible. Ethan grinned briefly. I just hope it works. Energy surged through the palace and the floating platforms. Lights danced in complex patterns, confusing the Varkari sensors further. Humans and Scytherans moved together with precision pilots, engineers, and Ethan, all connected through quick communication. The aliens were powerful, but the human ability to improvise in real time made a crucial difference. One Varkari ship tried a daring maneuver, aiming straight for the palace. Ethan noticed it too late to warn the pilots, but he remembered a small device from the engineering bay, a simple electromagnetic pulse. He activated it, and the ship froze mid-air before spinning harmlessly out of control. Lyra's hand found his, and she squeezed it. Your courage and mind have saved many lives today, Ethan. The battle lasted hours, but eventually, the Varkari fleet retreated. The humans had survived their first real challenge on Scythera. The palace floated quietly in the soft green glow of the evening, and the energy barriers shimmered in calm light once more. Ethan slumped against a wall, exhausted, but exhilarated. He had expected diplomacy, not battle. Yet somehow, his human ingenuity had made a difference. He had turned a misunderstanding the handshake into a moment where humans proved they could contribute meaningfully in an alien world. Lyra floated beside him, eyes thoughtful. You see, Ambassador, humans are unpredictable in ways that can be advantageous. Your creativity, your courage, your willingness to act. These are qualities Scythera rarely sees in outsiders. Ethan smiled, still catching his breath. I guess we have a habit of making the impossible seem possible. Sometimes by luck, sometimes by stubbornness. Lyra laughed softly, a sound that seemed to shimmer in the air like music. Perhaps that is why the stars have room for humans after all. Today, you have shown not only courage, but wisdom. Scythera will remember it. Ethan looked out at the floating islands, the glowing forests, and the night sky. For the first time, he felt that humans truly had a place here, not as visitors, not as fragile observers, but as partners, allies, and contributors. Their ingenuity, determination, and courage could shine even among beings far stronger and faster than themselves. And as he realized that, Ethan knew the real challenge was not over. The Varkari might retreat, but the universe was vast, full of dangers and wonders. Yet with courage, intelligence, and heart, humans could face anything. He turned to Lyra. So, what's next? She smiled. Next, we learn more about each other. And perhaps next, you teach Scythera a little more about what it means to be human. Ethan nodded. A strange warmth filled his chest. He had entered an alien world by accident, bound by a handshake he did not understand. But now, he was not just surviving, he was making a mark. The stars of Scythera glowed brighter than ever. And for the first time, Ethan felt that humans might belong among them. The next morning, Zythera awoke under a heavy sky. Clouds swirled with green and gold, and the floating islands hovered like jewels suspended in mist. Ethan Ryler stood beside Princess Lyra on the highest platform of the palace. From here, he could see the full expanse of the city, the glowing forests below, the energy barriers sparkling in the morning light, and the distant horizon where the Varkari fleet loomed once more. "They are not retreating," Lyra said softly, her eyes fixed on the dark shapes in the distance. "They plan a full attack. This is their chance to strike while we are distracted by yesterday's victory." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Then we'll show them that humans and Zytherans are stronger together than they could ever imagine." Lyra nodded. "It is time. The Council has prepared the defenses, but your human perspective may be what saves us." Ethan looked over the strategic maps projected before him. The Varkari were attacking in waves, using speed and stealth to confuse the defenses. Their ships moved unpredictably, weaving through the floating islands. He realized that brute force would not win this battle. Intelligence, creativity, and coordination would. "Here's the plan," Ethan said, pointing to several key points on the map. "We lure their first wave toward the southern islands. Then, using the magnetic pulses we tested yesterday, we will redirect the ships into a series of energy loops. It will disorient their navigation systems. Meanwhile, Zythran pilots can strike from above and below, catching them in a trap." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "It is risky. If even one calculation is wrong, we could lose an entire sector." Ethan shrugged. "Risk is part of the strategy. We just have to adapt faster than they do." The Council agreed, though some were nervous. They had never relied on humans before, and Ethan's ideas were unconventional. But Lyra's faith in him gave the other leaders courage. As the first Varkari wave approached, Ethan took his position in the command center. Lights flashed, holograms moved, and the air hummed with energy. He watched the approaching ships carefully, ready to adjust the plan as needed. "Remember," Lyra said beside him, "trust in your instincts. Humans see possibilities that Zytherans often miss." Ethan nodded, feeling a surge of confidence. He activated the first sequence of magnetic pulses. Islands shifted subtly. Energy barriers pulsed in rhythm, and light signals flickered to guide the pilots. The Varkari ships entered the trap. Their formation wavered as predicted, and confusion spread among the enemy ranks. "Good," Ethan muttered. "Now for the second wave." The next wave came faster and more aggressive. Ethan noticed their movements were not random, they were adapting to the trap. He adjusted the island shifts on the fly, using small bursts of energy to push the ships off course. One Varkari ship tried to break through the main barrier, but a coordinated strike from Zytheran pilots intercepted it. Lyra watched Ethan work, amazed. "You are thinking faster than their entire fleet combined." Ethan grinned, sweat on his forehead. "You have to, if you want to survive." As the battle raged, Ethan realized the Varkari were attempting a surprise attack from above. They aimed directly at the floating palace itself. Panic flickered in the eyes of the Zytheran leaders. But Ethan did not hesitate. He remembered the electromagnetic device he had used before. Quickly, he activated a network of energy pulses through the palace floor. A pulse surged upward, creating a shield that deflected the incoming ships. Lyra reached out, placing her hand on his shoulder. "Clever human," she said. "You save not only lives but the honor of Zythera." Ethan smiled briefly, but his eyes stayed on the battle. The Varkari regrouped, attempting to find a weak point. He thought quickly. Humans had a habit of improvising, using small things in ways no one expected. He instructed Zytheran engineers to create decoys, holographic islands that flickered into existence, misleading the enemy sensors. It worked. Several Varkari ships crashed into the illusions, while others collided with each other in confusion. Ethan's plan was unfolding perfectly, but the final wave was coming the largest and fastest. Ethan felt his heart race. This was the decisive moment. "We need everything we have," he said, scanning the battlefield. "Coordinate all pilots. Focus on the central formation. Use the islands, the magnetic fields, and the energy barriers in sequence. Timing is everything. Lyra's eyes met his. Then we fight as one, humans and Zytherans together. Ethan nodded. The sky exploded with energy and movement. Ships weaved through the islands, beams of light cutting through the mist. Ethan gave orders in rapid succession, adjusting the fields, signaling pilots, and predicting enemy movements. Every human decision, every Zytheran maneuver, was connected. The Varkari flagship, a massive ship larger than any Ethan had seen, broke through the outer defenses and headed straight for the palace. Ethan acted quickly. He directed a coordinated strike. Several smaller ships surrounded the flagship, while the magnetic pulses pushed it slightly off course. The energy loops created earlier trapped it in a cycle of movement, unable to escape. Lyra joined the strike, sending a surge of energy from her own power to stabilize the magnetic fields. Together, human and alien coordination created a stunning display of strategy and strength. The flagship shuddered, and finally, with a great explosion of light, it was disabled. The remaining Varkari ships, seeing their leader defeated, began to retreat in disarray. Ethan watched them flee, heart pounding with relief and pride. The battlefield fell silent, save for the hum of the floating islands and the soft wind through the forests below. Zythera had survived. Humans and Zytherans had won not through brute force alone, but through intelligence, creativity, and courage. Lyra turned to Ethan, her face radiant. You have done more than any human could have imagined. You have saved Zythera. Ethan shook his head, smiling tiredly. We did it together. Humans helped, yes. But it was the Zytherans who flew the ships, who maintained the energy fields, who trusted a human's plan. This victory is ours both. Lyra placed her hand on his, her silver hair floating around them like a shimmering veil. Perhaps that is the lesson of today. Strength comes not from one being alone, but from the union of different minds, different strengths. You are no longer just an ambassador, Ethan Ryler. You are part of Zythera. Ethan looked around at the floating islands, glowing forests, and the pilots celebrating below. He felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. Humanity had faced the unknown, and through courage, intelligence, and cooperation, they had not only survived but thrived. As night fell on Zythera, the stars shimmered above like a promise. Ethan knew that the universe was vast, full of challenges and wonders. Yet, for the first time, he felt ready not just to survive, but to shape the future. Humans had earned a place among the stars, and beside him, Princess Lyra smiled, the bond between them stronger than ever. The sky above Zythera glowed with soft green and gold light as the last of the Varkari ships disappeared into the distance. The floating islands, which had trembled under the attack, now hung calmly in the warm breeze. Ethan Ryler stood on the palace platform, watching the morning shimmer across the forests below. For the first time, he felt the weight of what had happened and the meaning of the handshake that had started it all. Princess Lyra floated beside him, her silver hair catching the light. The battle is over, she said softly. Zythera is safe, thanks to you and your people. Ethan smiled faintly, rubbing the back of his neck. We all did it together. Humans helped. Yes, but Zytherans fought bravely too. Your people's skills, your courage. It was incredible. Lyra tilted her head, studying him. You humans are interesting. Fragile, yet so determined. Small, yet clever. Today, you proved that the mind is just as important as strength. I see now why the stars have room for your kind. Ethan chuckled. I guess we have a habit of surviving. Even in impossible situations, we find a way. Sometimes luck, sometimes stubbornness, but mostly teamwork. Lyra laughed softly, and the sound echoed through the calm palace halls like music. Perhaps that is the lesson Zythera needed to learn. That strength is not only in power, but in understanding, cooperation, and heart. In the council hall, Zytheran leaders gathered to honor the victory. Ethan was invited to speak, and he felt a strange mix of pride and humility. Standing before an alien audience, he knew words mattered more than actions. Here they were, a bridge between cultures, a way to show respect and gratitude. "My friends," he began, "I came to Zythera as an ambassador from Earth, a visitor to your world. I did not understand your customs, your rituals, or your ways. And yet, your people welcomed me. Today, we faced a threat together, and we survived because we trusted each other, because we shared ideas, and because we valued every mind, human and Zytheran alike." He paused, letting the words sink in. Humanity is not perfect. We make mistakes, we stumble, we fail. But we also adapt, create, and persevere. Today, we have shown that even small beings, when united with understanding and courage, can achieve great things. A hush filled the hall. Even the elders, who had doubted him at first, nodded in approval. Princess Lyra stepped forward, placing her hand on Ethan's. "Your words are true," she said. "Human and Zytheran alike have learned from this experience. You have taught us the value of adaptability and ingenuity, and you have shown courage in a way that cannot be measured by strength alone." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of pride and relief. He had entered Zythera by accident, bound by a handshake he did not understand. Yet, through challenge and danger, he had found a way to belong, to make a difference. In the days that followed, Zythera celebrated its survival. Floating islands glimmered with lights, and citizens came together in gratitude. Humans, though few in number, were honored as allies. Ethan and the human delegation were given guided tours of the planet's hidden wonders. Glowing forests that sang in the wind, waterfalls that floated in midair, and ancient temples filled with knowledge of the stars. Ethan learned more about Zytheran culture, the rituals, the values, and the deep respect they had for life and balance. In return, he shared stories of Earth, its oceans, mountains, and cities, and the ingenuity and resilience of humanity. Zytherans listened with fascination, realizing that these humans, though fragile, had survived against enormous odds simply by thinking differently. Princess Lyra and Ethan spent hours together, exploring the floating gardens and discussing philosophy, strategy, and the future. They laughed at misunderstandings, marveled at discoveries, and slowly built a friendship that was as strong as any alliance. Though the bond of the handshake remained a symbol of commitment, it had grown beyond obligation. It had become trust and respect between two species. One evening, as the twin moons of Zythera rose over the horizon, Ethan reflected on everything he had experienced. He thought of the Varkari attack, the chaos of battle, the innovation of his human mind, and the courage of his Zytheran allies. He realized that humanity's place in the universe was not guaranteed. It was earned through determination, creativity, and a willingness to learn from others. Lyra appeared beside him, floating effortlessly in the soft light. "You are different from what I expected," she said. "Humans are not perfect, but they are remarkable. I am glad the stars brought you to Zythera." Ethan smiled. "I didn't expect this either. I came here as a visitor, but I think I've found a second home." Lyra nodded. "And perhaps Earth has found a friend among the stars. Today, we faced danger and discovered the value of unity. Tomorrow, we will build on it. Together." In the weeks that followed, preparations began for a new alliance between Earth and Zythera. Humans and Zytherans shared technology, culture, and ideas. Training programs were established to teach humans how to navigate Zytheran energy fields and floating islands, while Zytherans learned to appreciate human problem-solving and creativity. Together, they planned joint missions to explore nearby star systems, confident that their partnership would lead to discoveries neither could achieve alone. Ethan sent messages home, describing Zythera's beauty, the bravery of its people, and the lessons humanity had learned. Earth listened in awe, inspired by the stories of courage, ingenuity, and cooperation. Humanity was no longer simply a species bound to its planet. It was a participant in a larger universe, capable of shaping its destiny. One quiet evening, Ethan and Lyra returned to the palace balcony. The floating islands glowed softly in the twilight, the stars reflecting off their surfaces. They stood together, hand in hand, a symbol of friendship, trust, and unity. "You know," Ethan said with a faint grin, "I only shook your hand at first. I didn't know it would lead to all of this." Lyra laughed softly. "And yet, it did. Sometimes the smallest actions can have the greatest consequences." Ethan nodded. "I suppose that's true for humans too. We are small, but we can make a difference. We may stumble, but we keep going. We may be fragile, but we are clever, resilient, and determined." Lyra smiled, eyes shining. "And that is why humanity will always have a place among the stars. Today, you proved it. Tomorrow, we will build on it. Together." Ethan looked out at the horizon, feeling hope and pride swell within him. Humanity had entered a strange and distant world, misunderstood its customs, faced an overwhelming threat, and emerged stronger not by might alone, but through courage, creativity, and unity. And as the twin moons rose higher in the Zytheran sky, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had taken its first true step into the stars, and with allies like Princess Lyra and the people of Zythera, the future was brighter than any star he had ever seen. The universe was vast, full of unknown challenges and wonders, but humanity had proven itself. They had earned a place among the stars, not through force, but through heart, mind, and spirit. Ethan squeezed Lyra's hand gently. "Let's see where this journey takes us." Lyra's smile was warm, and the glow of Zythera bathed them both. "Together," she said. And in that moment, humans and Zytherans alike knew. The bond formed by a simple handshake had become a symbol of hope, courage, and the limitless possibilities of friendship between worlds.